Started from the bottom, now we look at top tier. Know that we the chose, so they made us feel the fear. I see God appear when I look into the mirror. I know that I'm the chose. Yeah. And it's time to give us back the identity they stole. Rest in peace to the nigga that they try to make a me. Gotta elevate these bones, cause we the stand. Waking up the dead so they finally understand it. Now look at what is wrong, cream of the crop. No matter the problem, we rising to the top. I'm the progeny, God stand.
Okay. We are live once again on the God Standard podcast. This week it is episode number 13, Growing Through the Difficulties of Life with Faith and Grace, with our beautiful, beautiful sister, Tequella Muhammad. Thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Sister Ebony, for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And for those of you who may be new to the show, on the God Standard podcast, our aim here is to shed light and bring life to the original people of the planet by sharing the stories and the experiences of regular people just like you, just like me, who have used the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to apply to their lives and essentially become the gods in their respective lanes and endeavor. So I'm really, really excited to have this sister on the podcast today because I know she has a lot of wisdom and insights to share with us. So if I may, I'm going to start with a bio. I forgot to say assalamu alaikum if I didn't. I don't remember if I did. Okay, so I'm going to start with a bio just for those of us who may need to get to know our sister just a little tiny bit better, even though we're going to on the show, but here we go. So Tequella Muhammad is a passionate advocate for creativity and the empowerment of women and holistic healing. A devoted mother of 7 beautiful children, a loving wife to a wonderful husband, and a supportive sister and daughter. Tequella Muhammad balances a vibrant family life with a deep commitment to teaching disaster preparedness through workshops, educational outreach, and personal mentoring. She works to equip communities with knowledge and resources needed to navigate emergencies and thrive in challenging circumstances. As a devoted student in the ministry class, Tequella Muhammad strives to live out her faith, share love, and promote healthy living in every aspect of life. So now entering the real estate world in Georgia, Tequella Muhammad is ready to make a bold impact in the industry, bringing a fresh, energetic approach to helping others find their dream homes. With a heart full of compassion and drive for success, she believes in the transformative power of creativity, healing, and the upliftment of women, always working to inspire resilience, self-sufficiency, and confidence in others. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
And once again, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. And assalamu alaikum to everyone who's viewing and watching. And again, thank you. I'm so honored as I've seen others on the show. And so we're going to have a good time. Like I said in the beginning, I'm an open book just because of the blessings and the gratitude that I have for Allah. And so whatever we, need to talk about, I pray that it helps and assists someone at this time. So.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so let's get right into it. Can you share what how you came into Islam? When did you first come into the ranks? How did that go for you in your lifetime?
How did it start? The starting,
Yes, ma'am.
yes.
Let's
All
start.
praise due to Allah. So, I actually was born and raised in the Nation of Islam, and my mom was in the mosque, which they called the temple back in the day. And when she did come in, I think she was they were following someone else at the time, and she heard the minister, and boom, I was like 1 years old. She's like, okay, this is it. Grew up in the mosque, fully dressed as a Muslim, growing up, and my mother fully embraced Islam. I'm the oldest of four. And we just lived the Muslim life, the way we ate, the way we knew our prayers. Like she was very strict in obedience to that. But at the age of maybe 16, I left my home and moved in with my best friend's mom and we she's more of the Christian side, and so that kind of separated me from Islam. And so I knew that at a certain point I had to find it for myself, so I was kind of in the world a little bit until I got to the age of 21, 22ish. And I was on a train in New York, first time on a plane, first time in New York City. And a brother had a Final Call newspaper who was sitting next to me, and he opened up the newspaper, and it had something about the value of the woman, and it's like he had it
Mm.
positioned in a way that I could read it. So I'm like, okay. So when I read it, it just sparked something in me at that moment, and it was like, you got to go back to the mosque. And I was going through things. I was at that time I was married and I had children, and I was just going through a lot at that time. So I was just like, okay, this is it. And I went back home to, I was in Winston Salem at the time, and I was just looking for the first mosque that I could find. And I found that mosque. It was a Wednesday night, and there were literally two people at the mosque that day.
Wow.
It was two people, and I was just like, okay, I don't know a lot, because growing up when I was younger, the mosque was packed. It started at 2. Everything was just a little different at this time, but when I was there, they were speaking regarding like some articles in the Final Call. However, the impact of what the minister on that day was speaking about just said it's time. And
Right.
after that, I just was like on 10. I was ready to recite that day. They was like, sis, you got to still go through processing. We know you
Right.
know your prayers and everything, but you still got to go through the process. And after that, it was just like that was it. And I registered. I went through the process and registered. By the end of the year, first letter failed, and I was
Right.
very
Right.
sad. And then the next letter that I sent in, that one passed. And by the end of, I think it was 2010, 2010ish, I was a registered believer in the ranks.
Okay. Wow. Praise be to Allah. It's
Yes,
like
ma'am.
you can't get too far from Muhammad.
You can't, even if you try to run from it.
Right. I bear witness. Believe me.
Yes.
Okay, so like I know for me, like I didn't grow up a Muslim, right?
Hmm.
And I know many of us who have who haven't, sorry, a lot we have challenges coming into the ranks where like whether it's family, whether it's like lifestyle, like big changes, etc. Um and maybe you did not have it like that. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But if not, what would you say was your biggest difficulty or challenge being a Muslim, whether it was like the growing up part or even like as an adult now?
Oh, absolutely challenges, because actually my mom is really the only Muslim really in our family.
Okay.
She came in through my sister's father, and that's what got her into the mosque. As far as the challenges, absolutely 100%, because my family is just my family. They're in the world. They don't really
Right.
understand Islam, and so we didn't get unfortunately able to go to MUI or anything, so we still went to the public school systems. Growing up, we did have to live that Islamic life, in a world where everybody is going against Islam. And so
Mm.
it to me, it's always been challenging. But I always knew that even as a young girl, that Islam was for us. I did not understand why the world could not see that, even as a young girl.
Right.
But I did at times feel different or separate from things just because we were in that environment of the world. Everything still went on as normal. Everybody still served pork. Schools still served had holidays that they would still do. And it's like, how do you separate yourself when you go to the school? Other children don't understand when you say, I don't celebrate Christmas. They don't understand that, because that's all they know is
Right.
Christmas. And just being able to understand it from our view. And I feel like we learned about it, but I didn't think that we knew enough of how to defend our Islam as children. And so if I
Mm.
could go back, I would really want to know how to defend it, how to counter it when, the opposition came. But, we thrived. It wasn't really until I became a teenager that I kind of wanted to just be on my own and do my own thing when I was like 16, 17. And now you don't want to wear your headpiece. Of course, I took my headpiece off, and I just felt like, okay, I fit in now. Nobody's staring at me. Nobody's asking me
Right.
questions and things like that. So that process, you felt like you fit in, but then the level of value and respect that you did receive when you were wearing your headpiece and all that, you didn't get that when you
Right.
were, of the world. So it definitely was like a teeter tot type of situation. But most people kind of knew just by how I spoke or my energy that I was a little different. Like you know, you must have came from a different background or something like that, or the way I
Right.
dressed, even in the world. For the most part, I still had boundaries that I had that I didn't want to, you know, go over. It was always like a lie was in the back of my mind, like, now you know better, you
Right,
know,
right, right, right.
pull that shirt down. And so,
Okay, praise be to
yes,
Allah.
ma'am.
It's funny that you say that because I was speaking to a sister of mine like last week or the week before, and saying that even like as an MGT, it's like even if you're not dressed how you're supposed to, or you're not doing certain things like to the T, like we still stick out like a sore
Me
thumb.
too.
Like it's always like where you come
Mm.
from, why do you do this, why don't you do this? So it's like I think that's a testament to the beauty of these teachings and the
Absolutely.
divinity of these teachings and how deep it really goes, because even just like a little drop in the water makes a world of a difference in comparison to like the world.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. So do you think that, or was there like one specific thought or idea that kept you? I think you mentioned like Allah was in the back of your head, like pull that shirt down or whatnot, but like was there something that kept your faith when you were going through being out in the world and maybe finding it appealing? Like was there something that kept you, that you would tell yourself, or that you remembered, that would keep you like tethered, if you will, to your Islam?
I wouldn't say necessarily like tether. Of course, my mom was that tether. She was always there, like, now you know better.
Right.
But it really was just the trials that I was experiencing at the time. I was in a previous relationship and marriage, and that was like hell. And um, I always talk about it because it's just it's part of the keeping faith in Allah. But that the things that I was going through, I kept talking to Allah, like, what is happening? This is not what I
Right.
really wanted in my life. And it's like He's always been there. And it's like you have to go through Him. And the thought of, it's like after all else fails comes Islam. It's like every time I was going
That's
through
right.
these heavy trials and things that were just happening to me at the time and things I was putting myself through, I was like, I have to, find a source of relief in that because I was
Right.
really going through stress. It was trauma, it was toxic. And I'm like, I can't live this life like this. And I stayed in my marriage because I was having children at the
Hmm.
time. And because I met him outside of the mosque, I always knew, even as a child, like, I'm like, I want an FOI because I already knew, that they have a different type of level of respect and value.
Right.
And when you're not taught, like, about men and relationships and things, even though my mom was in the mosque, she more so kind of felt like we already knew what to do as, you know, don't have sex,
Right.
don't, talk to boys and do that. It was never like a real deep conversation about what we should and shouldn't do. So
Right.
once you make that mistake or decision in your life, I wouldn't necessarily call it a mistake, but when you make a decision in your life that's wrong, now you have to deal with the consequences of it regardless. And you have to take
That's right.
accountability. And so I
Right.
had to just take accountability of my life, but I was still in it. And it was just that nudge. Allah kept saying, basically, find me, listen to me,
Mm.
and then I would listen to the minister and I would listen to lectures like how to give birth to a God. And it was a lot of times when I listened to those lectures, I actually broke down crying on several times
Mhm.
because I felt like, I don't know if it was like guilt or shame or just not feeling where I knew that Allah wanted me to be at the time. I'm like, this is not it's like, and and when I was younger, like, I always felt that I would have success in my life. Like, even people that was around me, they used to have me signing autographs, like, you're gonna be something in your life, you're gonna be, you're gonna be successful. I don't know what it
Right.
is, you're just, this is not. Or if I work a job, they like, you're not gonna be here long because you just have a different type of mindset.
Right.
So that it was just more so the trials and tribulations that I was experiencing that was actually bringing me closer to Allah, that was telling me that this is your only source of strength right now and you have to find that. So
Mm. Praise be to Allah. So do you think or maybe I should ask it like this. Your mother, it seemed like she kind of gave you freedom to like figure it out yourself. Do you think that was like helpful for you? Do you think it's helpful for like women, like parents? Like, what do you think of that?
I actually think the opposite.
Okay.
My mom was a young mother, and so when she had us, she struggled. She did not have help. My father was not present, and so with that, um, we struggled to go through life, and it was always like, okay, I have four children is like having seven today. It's like, oh, it was just a lot,
Right.
and even though she was in the mosque, this, we're just gonna be honest, we're gonna keep it out there. A lot of brothers wasn't interested in a sister with children at that
Right.
time. They just
Right.
did not, want that. So it was like she still had to struggle and do what she had to do. And it was a certain point where I feel like it kind of was a disconnect from us, because she was in that survival mode, and that mode
Mm,
was like, I gotta work, I gotta take care of you all. So we were more like, I would say, latchkey children, where we had to do what we had to do. We were at home, might have to go home by ourselves, and it's like, don't open the door for anybody, don't answer the phone,
right.
mommy's at work, I'll be here later on, y'all figure out what y'all gonna eat. And as the oldest child, I had to do what I had to do. And at a certain point, I just felt like I needed more, so I actually left, and my mother did allow me to leave to go move in with my best friend's mom.
Right.
And that, I feel like if I could go back and change it, I would have changed that and not have done that, because I
Mm,
really felt like during the age of like 15, 16, 17, 18, I really, really needed my mom.
right. Right.
And
Right.
yeah, so, and because I was raised one way, and then I went to a whole totally different way, where I was given leniency, I was working, and I was able to do what I wanted to do. But
Right.
my life goals changed because I wasn't in that structured environment. And
Mm,
so I recommend that as women, don't give up on your daughters, don't just let them go, always be there, even though they may want to make decisions in their life that you don't agree with. But you
right.
have to be there in the background, as far as, catching them when they fall, helping them to get to that next level of their life. Because again, teenagers don't really see what's in the world. We have no clue. We just think we know it all at that
Right.
age. And so it was just that phase. I feel like if I could go back, I would do it again, and I would stay home with my mom and just figure it out that way. But I made the
Right.
best of my situation, just because I was always just independent, and always very responsible, and very mature for my age when I was growing up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay. And I love that you touched on like the concept of like survival mode. I did want to bring that up to you because you speak about, having gone through a divorce and like previous relationship, and you also have, a number of children, right? Can you speak to if you went through that stage of survival mode, and like what got you through that? Like what are the types of things or the scriptures or the lectures that got you through that survival mode like period of time?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I have a whole book coming out about that. But
Oh,
I would say that is nobody but Allah.
okay.
When I say like the key points of my life was to make Allah sufficient.
Right.
When I first decided to divorce, because even when I was going through what I was going through, and just to I'm an open book, so I'm just going to be honest. When what I was going through was it was toxic. So my ex-husband started to do drugs, and with him doing drugs, he started to become abusive. So my marriage started to fill up with abuse, and other things that come with those, that if you have a loved one that has drug addictions or anything like that. I had to experience a lot of different things. And then, as a woman, we don't want to give up on the black man, we don't want to
Right.
stop him. We were both not registered when we met, and we came in, we did register together, so he was registered at a certain point, but that's not where his heart was at the time. And so for me, it was like pulling my faith at that
Mm,
time, where it's like, okay, you want to lie or you want the world. So I had to choose, and I chose a
right.
lie. And so in that time, when I finally decided, hey, I'm a divorce, I went to Savior's Day, and it was like the minister was talking to me. Of course, he was talking to everybody,
Hmm.
but it was like the comment that he made. He was like, I think it was 2017 or 2017 or 2016 or something like that. But he was like, you need a new man in your life,
Mm.
and then he talked about abuse. And it's like, he looked right, we were there, and it's like, I feel like he was looking right at me, and he's like,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
gotta you can't do that. And he's talking to the brothers about abusing their women
Right.
and all of that. And I bust out crying. Like I just was crying and hyperventilating. There was a brother sitting next to me, and he's like, he's like, sister, like trying to rub my back, and like, are you
Right.
okay, you need tissue? And I'm just like, it was just confirmation at that time,
Right.
because I was so afraid. Because of course, as a single mother, I'm like, I got these children, and should I just stay? What am I gonna do? That was a confirmation. Then once I decided this is it, I was not going back. I just asked Allah. I got on my prayer rug and I said, Allah, it's me and you. It's
Right.
me and you, and
Right.
I need you more than I've ever needed you in my life before. And whatever I need to do, and even prior to that time, I was already getting very close to, to Allah. Like I was getting up reading the whole on the Holy Quran reading line, which I've been reading on for the last maybe 8 or 9 years. That helped me to really get deeper into knowing Allah,
Right.
and just doing my prayers, just focusing on a lot, like fasting. I was eating one meal every other day. I was literally reading all of our books, studying all of our books. I did
Right.
not watch no TV. All I
Mm.
did was listen to lectures, listen to, Minister Ava, just all the teachings.
Right.
That's
Right.
it.
Right.
Like I did, when I say devoted,
Right.
I felt so connected that I knew what time it was to pray, and I didn't even have to look at my clock. It was like I felt the ringing or hear the ringing in my ear, like boom, it's time to
Right.
pray. Like I just felt like even when I was praying, Master Muhammad was there, I was there in person, like he's here.
Yes, ma'am.
And so he just helped me to get through it. Like anything that I needed, I just talked to a lot about it. He just made things happen for me. I can't
Mm.
even describe the level of just the way it just flowed, because I just
Right.
was like, whatever you need. I did not go against the grain of
Right.
what it was. And a lot of times we go against the grain when we really don't want to do something. We're struggling and we're
Mm.
like pulling from that. And that's what makes it harder. And that's what makes you suffer more, because you're
Right.
going against what Allah has. So I was just like free flowing. Allah, if you want me to go left, I'm going left. You want me to go right. And
Right.
I ended up moving out the blue, selling my home
Right.
in Memphis, and coming to Atlanta. And I would just say he got me. I wrote down the husband that I wanted in the future if I ever got to be married, but I was okay with not being married. I was just
Right.
literally in a place that if it's gonna happen for me, it's gonna happen. If it's not gonna happen for me, it is what it happens. So I tell
Right.
everyone that you have to literally keep faith, and your faith has to be strong. Your faith has to be Allah. It is what it is that you want, not what you
Right.
want, but what
Right.
Allah wants for you, and He'll
Right.
give you exactly what you want.
Right. Wow. 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 What a testimony. I love that. So
Yes.
basically you were really like nursing, like as the minister says, like to nurse on the Quran, nurse
Yes.
on our teachings. Like you were really like nursing on the teachings. So I
Nursing.
love that.
Yes.
Um okay, so can you speak to it's always all of us are always going to have difficult decisions to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um regardless of what it is, but those decisions, like you mentioned, okay, like moving to another city, right? Like leaving your marriage after like trying and trying, right? Like we try to make it work, right? Those decisions that you have to make that are like life changing
Mm-hmm.
decisions, right? Can you tell us like what allows you to make a like a convicted decision, like what allows you to know that, okay, I'm not giving up, or I'm not just running away, or I'm not just like, what do you feel personally like in you, or what does Allah show you to know that, okay, you're making the right decision?
That's a good question, because I'm very indecisive, and that's something that I'm still working on as within myself. So
Yes,
even
ma'am.
when I had to move, right, it was like things were just at one point started to fall apart, and then I'm just like, okay, a lot, what's happening? And it was like I end up losing my job because I didn't have like childcare, because I wasn't married, I didn't have anybody to help me with my children. So I'm like, I'm not going to be able to work. And I
Right.
was working at MUI, and I was working another job because I was trying to supplement, my income. And
Mm.
then so I started doing that. But then at a certain point, it's like I'm not able to do both, because I can't work both jobs, because I don't have a sitter, and I can't work at MUI because it's at that point in time, it wasn't enough to supplement for the things that I needed. And so I'm
Right.
like, oh, Allah, what do I do? So now I'm jobless and I'm at home. So now my bills are racking up, and I'm like, okay, I need to pay my bills.
Right.
And I was trying to figure it out. And I'm be honest, I was doing like DoorDash. I was
Mm.
doing like little things, like, and taking my children with me. They were just in
Right.
the car with me, and I'm just out here just doing my thing, right? And of course, I'm very creative. I have a lot of different talents, but I wasn't in a mental space to work on like, I had another business called Divine by Nature, and it was like where I was making like products, soaps and shea butters and things, and that was really doing good, but
Right.
my mental space wasn't there, and so I wasn't able to pour
Mm.
into it like I wanted to. And so I was like, okay, what's happening? So I knew that at a certain point, Allah was basically trying me at that moment. You have to make a decision. But I believe that
Mhm.
He wanted me to move. So He was allowing everything to fall apart at that moment.
Right,
And so
right,
I still could not make a decision because I loved living in Memphis at the time. And
right.
then I'm like, my mom lives in Atlanta. I could go to Atlanta. So I went to a sister, and she probably knows her name's Sister Donna.
Mhm.
If she's watching this, but she's from Memphis, and I asked her one day, and I'm like, I'm having a very hard time deciding what to do as far as moving and things. And I'm like, what should I do? And she said, get a piece of paper. She said, write a line on it. She said, write down your pros and your cons,
Mm,
of leaving or staying. And she said, if your pros outweigh your cons, then you move. If not, then you stay. And she said, and when you make that decision, you stick to that decision and you don't change the decision no matter what.
that's right.
And so that's what I did. And my
Okay.
pros of moving outweighed my cons of staying because I was going through all this stuff. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to move to Atlanta. Boom.
Right.
And then I decided to get ready to move. And then I was in the process of selling my house. I had to sell my house and I was about to get it sold. And then the hot water tank busted in my house.
Oh no.
Right.
Yeah.
And with that, I needed money though to move. To move, and I
Right.
wasn't going to get the money until after I sold my house. But then the guy from like State Farm came in. I'm just giving you examples of how law work. But the
Yes,
guy from
ma'am.
State Farm came in and he assessed the damages within like 2 days. He stood right there and printed a check out in person, like from a little machine. And
Yes.
it was like a $7,000 or $8,000 check that he printed
Wow.
out
Wow.
for
Wow.
me to be
Wow.
able to pay for what I need to and then do what I needed to do. And I'm just
Right.
like, a lot. I mean, everything just I cannot describe the level of ease. And even when I moved, COVID hit, and
Yes, ma'am.
it was so much, but everything that Allah had in that time was just ease. And even with divorce, I heard the sign, I heard the minister say, you need a new man in your life, but it was just the way that he said it and how I was feeling at that moment that I felt like it was confirmation for me. And if I
Right.
look back, I feel like I made the right decision because I could not endure any more of what I was experiencing in that marriage. Like like I was losing myself completely, and
Right.
the fact that I had children was the only reason that I was staying there. Because of course, the way that people talk about women that leave relationships to have children, I was worried about how people would feel about me at that point. Oh, she got these
Right.
children, she's trying to do this and that. But then at a certain point, I'm like, I don't even care. It's
Right. Right.
about
Right.
my mental health. It's about my safety. It's about being what Allah wants me to be. And if that means, I made that decision, I was married, it just doesn't work out, and I have to decide to do what I had to do. And that's what I did. And Allah just made it happen. So I feel like if you need to make a decision in your life, write it down. Do like Sister Donna said, outweigh the pros and the cons in it. Whatever it goes into your favor, then make that decision and just stick to that decision and don't teeter. Because you start to teeter and overthink, then you
Right.
get indecisive and you can't make a sound decision.
Right. 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 That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's beautiful. Discernment is
So,
so important. It's so important to be able to like read those signs where
yeah.
it's like, okay, you heard what he said and how he said it, and you're looking at the, what's happening around you and stuff like that. It's very important to be able to, utilize the information in our environment to make the decisions that we're making.
And
So
pray. Yeah. And prayer.
absolutely
Yeah.
prayer,
Yes.
100%. So through those times where it was like, okay, you have faith, obviously you have faith in Allah that overall he would get you through, but in those moments where it didn't seem like it, like if you're just looking at the what seems like the facts, right? If you're just looking like what got you through those moments, like you're about to move and the water tank is broken, like in that moment, do you go to Allah or like what happens?
Absolutely. I mean, it was one time, and I talked about this before on social media and just in
Right.
general, that I was in a room for like 3 days and I was just crying to Allah. And there was nothing in my room but my prayer rug, my holy Quran, some sage. I was burning
Right.
sage, and it was just me talking to Allah. And I was crying because I felt like almost like they say you hit rock bottom. I felt like I hit rock bottom at that moment.
Right.
And I'm like, I have no, like everywhere I turned, everything was like, blocked at that moment. But
Right.
I was just like, Allah, what do I need to do? But I was literally like crying. Like, I mean, I ain't never cried this much before in my life, just because I was so afraid of like, what am I gonna do? Like, I
Right.
have children, several children. I
Mm.
am about to sell my home and move and do all these things. But I just had faith. I don't know. It was just Allah was like, even when I was reading different verses in the Holy Quran, like he was just Surah 2 was like the main, just the whole Surah 2, Al-Baqarah,
Right.
the cow, but he just in the words of the Holy Quran just made me feel like he's there. He hears me, he's
Right.
present. You know,
Right.
it's a lesson that I have to go through. I had to be taught patience. You're not going to get anything right away. And just like you said, just incredible faith. The faith is you do not
Mm.
doubt Allah. You really just be like, okay, and if you look back, he's gotten us through everything that we needed to
Right.
get through. Like when I look
Right.
back on other decisions that I made, I'm like, dang, I made that messed up decision, but I got through it. Even times where I'm thinking, oh, this is it. We got through it. And so I
Mm.
knew that he had me, but I knew that I would have to go through some difficulty and some pain in order to get to the other side. And that after difficulty, there's ease.
Absolutely.
That's really, really stood out to me. And I bear witness to that in several incidents in different trials of my life that anytime we're going through something, it's going to feel heavy. It's going to feel out of place. It's going to feel painful. It's going to feel like what is going on. But we have to go through that in order to get to the other side.
Right. Yes, ma'am. I bear witness.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing. It's really beautiful to hear your story and like your mindset, your testimony through the difficulties, you know.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
so one more thing before I like go on to the next topic that I
No
want to discuss with
problem.
you, but like
Yes.
um I'm thinking of like those of us who, because that's a lot. It's like you're a mother, you have multiple children, you're going through a difficult time, you're thinking of moving. There's like a lot of you need to make money, like all of these things, right? Like it could be so overwhelming and it could be almost overwhelming to the point where it's like, where do I start? Like what do I do? What do I pick up first in this whole mess, right? Um, so can you give, I don't know, advice or even your approach, um, being in that situation or to someone else that is in that situation and does not know where to start? Like, where do you start? Where do you start in picking up the pieces?
Absolutely. So I would say first is just writing things down. I'm a big aspect of writing, like writing your thoughts, because reading it back to yourself, it's like you can kind of see, you can kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together. So I'm big on journaling. I'm big on having your thoughts in front of you, to-do lists, writing down the processes or the steps that you need to get to the first goal, writing down your goals. If you want something in your life, like for example, like I said before, the woman that you're looking for, the man that you're looking for, or if you want a certain type of income, you need to see it on paper. Why do you want that much income? How much do you want? Why do you need it? If you have debt and bills, working on your credit, I always tell people to do the pyramid where you're writing down your biggest bills all the way down to your smallest bills, and then you tackle each item one by one. But if we can't see it, then we can't tackle it. And of course, when we don't see it, it's just in our mind, it's jumbled all around. We
Right.
have to be able to process it. So I would say write things down and don't even look at it the same day. Go wait a day or two and then come
Mm.
back to it. And a lot of times you can figure it out. I also recommend prayer and reading. Like I love to read. That's my pastime. I'm a book reader, always
Yes,
have
ma'am.
been, love bookstores, love libraries, reading books on any topic, about anything.
Right.
YouTube University, I recommend that as well. I mean, I
Right.
know that some people they don't need to be talking about anything on some of these shows and podcasts, but the ones that have proven track records, just to get you through that moment, go listen to different things of those who've been through it. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan really has everything that we need as far as like Final Call. I love the
That's
Final
right.
Call. Just going to look at old articles from like Brother Jabril, Student Minister Ava.
Mm.
Reading will also help you. Friday night study group, if you are able to go to the mosque, that's my favorite night of the week. Of course, I love MGT class, but Friday
Right.
night study group will help you to not only see things within yourself, but hear others' testimonies on their lives
Right.
so you can know how they got through it and to also get through it, because the materials that were given to us in these study guides literally help us. Like I didn't know I suffered from anxiety until I
Mm.
started going into the study guide and then breaking down what anxiety was, because I did not know what it was at a
Right.
certain
Right. Right.
point. So that's the key. And then again, prayer is it.
Mm.
A lot of times we are not praying. We really are not. Of
Right.
course, we're saying our, Allahu Akbar, Bismillah, Rahman Rahim, and we're going about our
Mhm.
day. But you really have to have an intimate relationship with Allah. You really have to get down on that prayer rug. If you got
Mm.
to cry, if you got to just sit there and just meditate, if you got to just talk to Allah like He is standing in that room with you. And that's how I talk to Allah. That's how I
Right.
talk to Master Farah Muhammad. I'm like, they're present. Like, I'm talking to them, like, this is what I'm going through. Help me with this. And to
Right.
ask them to help you, to ask them to show you whatever it is that you need to see, reveal things to you, show things to you, help you to be better at certain things. Because
Mhm.
again, just for an example, if you're an arrogant person, you don't notice you're arrogant. So
Right.
you have to be asked to see it. But when he shows you, he's going to show you. If that means somebody's going to tell you that you're arrogant, you're going to keep
Mm.
hearing it, you're going to recognize it in studying, or things are just not going to go your way because it's going to keep, that's going to keep popping up. It's
Right.
going to present itself. You just have to be willing to listen, and you have to be willing to be humble and to be willing
Mm.
to work on yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing in this hour, is just being humble and being able to receive whatever it
Mm.
is that Allah has for you. So
Right. Right. Right.
yes,
Awesome. Praise be to Allah.
praise be to
And
Allah.
from what you described to me is like it's growth. It's like you know that saying, like, don't just go through it, grow through it, right?
Grow
It's like
through it.
we're going to
Yes.
go through things, we're going to have trials, we're going to have difficulties, but it's like you have to be willing to grow through it, to look at yourself and see the things that are, hindrances, or things that are holding us back in different
Right.
ways, and you know what I mean, and correct that. And also,
Yes.
like, see when you're not on your prayers, or you're not
Right.
as close to Allah as you need to be, and being willing to correct that and grow in that, right?
Absolutely.
So I love that.
Yes.
So you mentioned a book. Can you talk to us about that? Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yes. 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 And I think I mentioned it way back that I was in the process. Of course, it takes time because it's a lot of
Right.
unpacking, a lot of just different things that you look at differently with a different mindset. But the book is the struggle for balance. It's more
Mm.
struggling, and it's like a roadmap for women and mothers on how to
Mm.
navigate life and relationships and marriage, and a blended family, and doing it again in courtship and all that. It just talks about, just from the experience, because I've experienced a whole lot coming into Moss. And even in,
Right.
when you're in the Moss, you don't think that you'll have to experience things like, even with jealousy and envy, like I've
Mm.
experienced that to a place where I'm like, why? Like, I'm not, I don't even want you to feel like that about me.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm
Right.
such an open book. I'm like, I struggle through life, but the only thing that made my life different than anybody else is just my attitude that I had. Even when
Right.
I
Right.
was
Right.
going through things, people didn't know that I was experiencing things. I was always smiling. I'm always super
Mm.
happy and positive, because I know that we have to look at the gratitude in life. I don't hate on nobody. I'm not jealous of anybody. I don't want what anybody else has.
Right.
And
Right.
when
Right.
you understand that a lot and what he has for you is for you really don't have that type of energy in your mind and your body.
Right.
You just don't. Like, I don't,
Facts.
I know if I want it, I can get it if Allah wants me to have
Right.
it.
Right.
And so the book is more so just about that experience, because we don't really talk about the real life of what we go through. We don't really
Mm.
talk about real experiences. Like, even with marriage, like, we feel like it's like we only got to talk about the good things that goes on in marriage. And I'm like, we have to talk about both, because how do I know what I'm dealing with? Which is why I made bad decisions in my life, because nobody wants to talk about anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right. Right.
it's
Right.
just it's just an open book to just express, like, things that I've honestly went through, and then things from other people who've experienced struggling for balance in their families and relationships. So I pray that, inshallah, it'll be out next year. I pray that
Okay.
it's a success, and
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to make it by Savior's Day, but I'm not sure if it's going to be, but it's so.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Yes,
all can
ma'am.
get it from Savior's Day. So,
Well, inshallah, we get it for Savior's Day, and if not,
inshallah.
we'll be ready. We'll be ready when you are.
Absolutely. Praise be to
So yeah,
Allah.
you all hear that. Make sure you look out for the book by our sister. Um, okay, so like a lot of what you post, I notice you speak about the. Sorry, one second. You speak about the value of the woman, and I was wondering if you could. Sorry, bear with me one second.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Yes, I was wondering if you could speak about what it means to, like, know your value, and why it isn't it why it is important for us, even when whether we're in the ranks in the nation, whether we're in the world, to know our value as women.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Just learning about myself growing up, just as a woman. A lot of things that I've experienced that most women don't know their value
Mm,
in life, and that most decisions that we make will be based off of that value. If we have
right,
low self esteem, or we have low confidence within ourselves, if we don't, love ourselves or trust ourselves, we will make horrible decisions in
right,
life. And that's what I've seen from most women that are single women, or most women that have made, because we don't know. So I
right,
think, teaching your daughters, like even with me, I have a 15-year-old daughter, and I have a 8-year-old daughter, and then I have a 2-year-old daughter.
right,
And so I start early with teaching them the value. Like nobody,
right,
even they have brothers. I'm like, your brother, you know, can't see, your body. You have to make sure you understand that nobody kisses on you. Nobody does
right,
this. I always express love to them, because again, I don't want them growing up feeling like they have to get it from someone else. I'm a hugger. I'm
right,
that mommy that's gonna kiss you and hug you and be funny with you, but at the same time be serious. A
right.
lot of times we don't have that, and so we grow up and we're always looking for what we don't have within.
Mm,
And so that's how we make bad decisions. And then if you make a bad decision in a partner that you choose, then of course now you having children in a
right,
relationship that's toxic, or you're giving your children the experience of divorce, which they should not have to experience that type of
right,
pain. Or you're giving them the experience of arguing and fighting within the home, or all different type of things come from that. And then now when you separate, now they can't be with their father's side of the family, they don't know. And then it's just a whole level of just toxicity and drama that we don't need. And so
right,
I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and it bothers me though when they say, this is a high value woman or high value man.
mhm,
Like, I don't know why that bothers me, because
right,
God values us as
right,
men and women in this world. Um, and we're taught that, striving to be right, living the life that Allah wants us to be, values us. We don't
right.
need to get value from others. We have to learn to value ourselves and connect to Allah where we feel that. And so I think it's 100% important to first, before doing anything in life, is to know who you are, to
Absolutely.
research the duties and roles of a woman, to know what you want to do in life and what you like to do. Don't let anybody else steer you where you want to go, but you learn
Mm,
about what it is that you really want to do and what you want to be, and you go for that.
right,
And once you learn that, like a lot of things I know now, and I'm 37, I wish I would have known when I was 17, 18, 19, 20, because all the decisions that I made was just based off of lack of knowledge. And so
right.
if we continue to get knowledge, to learn about how we can better ourselves as women, then we will make better decisions in every aspect of our life. And that will make a better
Absolutely.
nation, a better community, a better society, and a better world.
Right. Wow. 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 Beautifully said. I love that. It's man, there's nothing else to really say after that, but it's so true that it really is it's almost like um our, how would you say, the way that we value ourselves is like a lens that we how we view
Mm-hmm.
everything, how we
Yeah.
view the
Yeah.
world, and how we view our experience, right? So
Yeah.
absolutely. So when it
Yes.
comes to, and you mentioned it before, I think you were referring to your mom, but those of us who find ourselves in a situation where, okay, we have a failed marriage, we have children, and the world tells us that if that's what you are, then no one's gonna love you, you're not valuable, whatever the world says. Um, how do like what can you say to that, and how do we re imagine, if you will, reimagine how we view that and how we see that as true or not true.
Yes, ma'am. So I would say we have to start out with listening to the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad,
Right.
because they've already told us who we are. This
Absolutely.
world, of course, since slavery has told us that we're nothing, that we're no good, that we won't be anything, that we can't amount to anything, that pretty much
Mm,
everything will fail. That's how this world views us as Black people. But we have to
right.
prove them different. And then we're living in a different time where Allah says this is a time where we're going to be moved up, and we have to
Right.
be ready to receive that. And so you have to. you have to really, again, going back, is really knowing yourself and really truly understanding the value, and that's in man and woman.
Right.
Because I had to turn off anything that was negative in my mind that
Right.
went against that, like, because it started to bother me at a point, because I would get on social media and it's like somebody saying, oh, the woman got children, she's no good, and she's this and that and that, and I'm just
Right.
like, what in the world? I'm like, most of the women are single because
Right.
the man either left, or he wanted to cheat, or he didn't want to be tied down to it. So yes, we may have made a bad decision, but it
Right.
takes two. And every relationship wasn't just you just meeting the wrong person. Of course, you met the wrong person, but anything could have happened in that marriage or that relationship that caused
Right.
it to subside. And I remember that the minister had a lecture, and I do not remember what it was, but I do, is paraphrasing, but he mentioned that, brothers, and I'll find it, inshallah, I'll bring it later. But he was saying
Yes,
that the
ma'am.
brothers, he said, some of these sisters that do have children, he said, take on the father, be the father of those children, because they're
Mm.
just out here in the world. Don't leave them and let them. Now, if that's not for you, that's fine.
Right.
But the boys have to grow up. These men are going to be our future. So they
Right.
really need fathers. The women need, fathers. I didn't have my father, really growing up like that. And I really always wish I had. But when I
Right.
see others that have their father, I'm like, wow, it literally makes a difference in their upbringing, how they think, how
Absolutely.
they look at things, how they value things. Even the men that they chose, they based that decision off of the type of father that they had in their life. And
Right.
so don't look at anything negative that goes against that. You can get whatever you want, even though you made that mistake. But you also
Absolutely.
have to be okay with if you don't get what you want, because and that's in every
Mm.
aspect in your life, whether you don't have children and want to have children, whether don't have a husband and you want to be married and you haven't found one yet and you're at a certain age. You have to be okay with whatever decision that Allah made, because He knows what we know not, and He's going
Right.
to bless you with what He sees. Like, we don't know what He sees in our future, and so
That's
it's a
right.
reason why we're going through what we're going through, and it doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but it's
Right.
just a reason. So if we just trust Him fully 100% in His
Mm.
decisions and whatever He has for us, then we will be fine moving forward in life, inshallah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Praise be to Allah. Whew.
Praise be to Allah.
Okay. So, can we talk about disaster preparedness? I want to talk about the importance of disaster preparedness and disaster preparedness. Sorry, it's a little bit of a tongue twister for me, but yeah, like why is it so important? And also, like specifically for mothers, like single mothers, I would say, of multiple children, like why is it so important for us to prepare for disasters?
Absolutely. And that was one of the main reasons why I even took on the duty of it, because, I've talked to sisters who are, single mothers, or who just by themselves, who maybe not have children. And they're always like,
Right.
oh, what am I going to do in disaster? Even some sisters I've heard say they want a husband because they don't want the world to end. They don't have anybody there. Like, I've heard it all. Like, but even with that, I always tell them, you got to take care of yourself. Like they tell you
Right.
when you're on a plane, when they pull down the mask, you have to cover yourself before you can help anyone else. And so the
That's
biggest
right.
thing with disaster preparedness is just making sure you have the things that you need. Are you able to survive for a couple of months, 3 to 6 months in your home if something was to happen today? And then we saw that when COVID hit, it totally took a lot of people off guard, and like a lot of people start
Right.
wanting to fear, and they went out and they just start buying things and getting things, because a lot of times we weren't prepared for it. And that can
Right.
also happen again. And it could be on a major level where there is no water, there is no food, and you have to be able to survive. And you don't want to, like, How to Eat to Live book says, be looking at your babies and want to eat your babies because you don't
Right.
have any food. We don't know what it feels like to be really in famine. We don't know what it feels like to not have, to be able to eat at all, or to not have
Right.
lights for longer than a couple of weeks. Like, a lot of us have never experienced that. We've never experienced an earthquake. We've never experienced anything. So Allah
Right.
has granted us ease for most of our lives. And so all He's asking us to do is prepare ourselves. That
Right.
doesn't have to be you go out all, today and go spend $1 million. That means go get a little bit of something every day or every
Right.
week that you can put into your home to where you can survive. Because we don't want to, and I'm just saying, one of the recent disasters, one of the girls did not have anything. She did not
Right.
have diapers in her house. She did not have anything for her baby. And
Right.
she did not even have a gallon of water or a bottle of water in her home. And so this is just a reminder to get some basic stuff. Just get you a bag if you're by yourself that has just
Right.
3 days worth of supply of food. If you just need to bare minimum, get to one place, from one side to the other. But you want to constantly, don't let this lull that we're experiencing right now stop you from preparing your home and your family, because we
Right.
really don't know what we're about to experience, but we know something is coming, and we just want to make sure that we're prepared for it.
Right. 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 And is there like a website or something that people can go to, like just like if you have no idea and you never have prepared anything ever before, like where do we start? Like how can somebody, like what's the first thing that somebody would get? You mentioned a bag.
Yeah, the first thing I will always say is just food and water. Water first, and then
Right.
food, and then the go bag is just a 3 day go bag. To means that you may have to just leave your home. Like right now, if something was to happen, boom, you had to leave. You need something to be
Right.
able to survive. And if you're in your car and you're on the highway for a couple of days, which has happened last year, where it was cold and they were stranded on the highway for days, you don't have anything in your car to survive. You
Wow.
want to at least have some basic items prepared. And so you have like a change of clothes, first aid kit, hygiene kit in that bag to make sure that you can get from one place to the next. And then I
Right.
also would recommend my book, Disaster Preparedness 3.0. It just kind of goes over 30 days of things and tips that you can utilize to start to prepare yourself, and it gives you like items that you can start stocking up each day, just to put it on your mind, because you might not be aware of things that you can get. um, and so, yeah, that would be the biggest thing, and that's arksurvivalsurplus.com or .org. I think you can go to both, but ARKSURVIVAL SURPLUS.com or .org, and you can grab that book, and that book will just help you to get what you need. And you can reach out to me at any time if you just have specific questions, or it's also on Amazon if you all wanted that book. And I do also have one for children called Disaster Readiness for Children, and that just kind of gives a small animated view of disaster preparedness for the children, with a checklist at the end of the book that kind of just goes over just what it looks like for children to see their parents stocking up. And it's also a conversation to have with your children, because we never know what could happen, and you kind of want to talk to them about it, and you kind of want to get them on board with that.
That's right. And yeah, the children's book I got a couple years ago. I don't remember when you put it out, but I think I got it like when you first put it out, and it was definitely beneficial for even like my younger children to just have these thoughts in their head, and not in a kind of fearful
Right.
way, but to be proactive, like okay, this is the reality of what could happen, and this is
Correct.
what we could do in this situation or in that situation. So
Right.
I think, like you said, it's very important for us to just have these things. Not that we have to, because I think there's a what would I say, like a thin line between like stressing about it every single moment of the
Yeah.
day and then being aware of it, right? It's like
Right.
we buy car insurance in case an accident happens, and we pay that every single month, right? So it's on our mind at least once a month when we have to pay for
Right.
our insurance. We should have these
Correct.
things on our mind at least every so often, because we don't know what could happen, and it might not be a huge big disaster. It might be a huge
Right.
big, we don't know, you know what I mean? So what does it hurt to be a little bit
Just have some
prepared?
basic stuff. Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
right, right. So yeah,
Yes.
definitely if you all are, you know, trying to figure out where to go, where to start, check out our sister's books, check out her website. Sorry, was it .org? Did you say .org?
Yes, it's either .org or .com. It's
Okay,
Arc
okay.
Arc Survival, ARK
Okay. So
survivalsurplus.com.
okay, let
Mm-hmm.
me correct that. But
And I
yes,
love your
so
accent. Where are you from?
it's always the Americans that are like your accent.
Yes.
I'm from Canada, but you probably
Really?
hear a little bit of Caribbean in there
I
too.
do. That's what
Yeah,
I
I
hear.
lived in the
Yeah.
Caribbean for a while, and my background,
Okay.
it's yeah, it's
Okay.
a lot of mix going on there.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so before we get ready to go, I know time is of the essence. Oh, sorry. We actually have an audience question before I get to my question, if that's okay. So somebody's asking, do you think it's important to learn things like how to maneuver ourselves in CPR or choking and things of that nature?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think any of that can hurt. I definitely think that you should be CPR certified, and you should also get your children CPR certified. I definitely have my children to attend, and they also have a class called CERT, which is Community Emergency Response Team, and they train you, and you can bring your children as well on how to like use fire extinguishers, what to do in the case of you needing to learn like what happens with choking and CPR. They do those type classes. Also, like dealing with bodies if you do have to come across somebody that has passed away. I mean, it just goes over just a lot of different materials that you will need for disasters. I always tell us that we have to acquire knowledge. When we watch things, we'll at least know what to do in the case of, and it'll be in the back of our mind or our subconscious mind. And then when it's time and we need it, we'll at least be able to use it. So definitely.
That's right. I think when it comes to anything like that, it's like how I see it, even when it comes to like health or like I'm into like herbs and healing, it's like I think of
Hmm.
it as like a toolbox, right? And in your
Right.
toolbox you have many different tools that you will use for different things.
Yes.
And the more equipped your toolbox is, the better off you are, because it's better to, what do they say? It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not
Need it,
have
not
it,
have it. Yep.
right?
That's the key.
So, right.
Yes.
Okay. So, one more thing I wanted to ask, and it's kind of going back a little bit, but we're gonna
Okay.
end off there on a high note. Um, can you speak about? I know you're like now you're married, like you went through that, that period, that transition period, and now you're married again, and there are, I would imagine there are challenges that come with having bringing a partner into a situation where
Blended
there's already
family. Yeah.
children, and then there's more children, and it's like a blended family. So can you share some of the challenges with that, but like I want to know like how you overcame it and how beautiful it became
It's
in
so
the end of the
wonderful.
challenges. Yes.
Yes. All praise due to Allah. It's so wonderful. My husband, Brother Richard Muhammad, he's so amazing. The first is just having a brother that is very principled and very understanding. Like he is very loving, very understanding, and
Right.
just wonderful. So I'm grateful for that. And just somebody that wants to do things right. Like even initially in courtship, we just wanted to do everything by the book. We
Right.
did not, he understood everything. I tried to tell him as much as possible, what to expect having children in the household. He also has a son, and just having all the children together. I mean, it just works because he has a great personality. He's totally
Right.
opposite of what I experienced before. So he brings like a calming peace. We don't argue. We just
Mhm.
pretty much can speak and get along. And it's more so just about communication. I think communication is the highest. But one of the challenges is just getting everybody on board to really understanding. However, in my situation, it was not a challenge. Everybody
Right.
kind of just flow. Like I almost feel like we knew each other forever. Like I always felt like I should have been married to him at first. That's how I feel. I'm
Right.
like, if I would
Right.
have did it right in the
Right.
beginning, but I'm grateful for the experience and lesson that I got initially. But
Absolutely.
it's a beautiful thing. And again, you have to know what you want. The husband, the male, has to know exactly what he wants. He has to understand the challenges. So again, you have to read up on things that could go wrong. You have to read up on how to get through things, because
Right.
children are different. Children's experiences are different, and that is what can make it harder if if they're close to their biological parent or their dad, that's no longer in that dynamic, how they see it. And so everybody can get counseling. You all need to get counseling. You all need to do marriage counseling, premarital counseling,
Right.
all throughout, and just be able to express how you feel. Anytime something's not right, bring it up as a team, and you'll get through it. And just make sure that Allah is the center of that marriage and that relationship.
Right. I love that. I love that. What a beautiful way to end off on a high note.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing this conversation with us, Sister Tequila. Thank you to our audience members for interacting with us and your questions. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching, and that is pretty much it. Assalamu
Yes.
alaikum, and I pray everybody has a blessed rest of your day. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.